In the soft glow of the spaceport, Professor Day waited for his students to arrive. His blue tentacles moved nervously as he adjusted the welcome sign. This was a big day for the Galactic Academy of Xeno Studies. For the first time ever, alien students would study alongside humans at New Horizon University on Earth. The large metal doors slid open with a hiss. 12 alien students of different shapes, sizes, and colors stepped through. Some floated, others crawled, and a few walked on multiple legs. All looked around with wide eyes or sensing organs at the bright Earth terminal. "Welcome to Earth," said Professor Day in the common galactic language. "I know many of you are nervous. Earth is classified as a Class 3 planet, which means conditions here are harsh by galactic standards. But humans have been good allies since joining the Confederation, and this exchange program is important." Tay, Professor Day's assistant, who resembled a tall crystal with glowing insides, moved forward with a stack of translation devices. "Please, wear these at all times. They will help you understand human speech and translate your words for them." A small round alien named Bay rolled forward. "Professor, is it true humans are filled with red liquid that leaks out sometimes?" Several students moved back in alarm. Professor Day sighed. "Yes, they have an iron-based blood system, but it usually stays inside their bodies. Please remember your cultural sensitivity training." The doors at the far end opened, and 5 humans walked in. They wore the blue uniforms of New Horizon University and smiled widely. Several alien students made quiet fear sounds when they saw the humans' teeth. "Welcome to Earth," said the lead human, a female named June. She spoke too loudly, and 3 aliens jumped back in surprise. "We're so excited to have you here at New Horizon. I'm June, and these are your student guides, Min, Wu, Sun, and Hai." Professor Day noticed the humans stood very straight on just 2 legs. They moved quickly and made many hand gestures as they talked. His students huddled closer to him for safety. "Thank you for the welcome," Professor Day said. "My students are tired from the long space journey. Perhaps we could see our living areas first." The humans led them through wide hallways filled with more humans who stopped to stare at the alien group. The air felt heavy with Earth's strong gravity. Some students used their anti-gravity belts to help them move. "This is the alien dormitory," said Min, pointing to a round building. "We modified it to support your different environmental needs." Inside, each student had a room adjusted to their home planet conditions. Kang, a gas-based life form, had a sealed chamber filled with methane. You, a water dweller, had a large tank with salt water. The rooms impressed Professor Day, who noted the humans' thoughtfulness in his datapad. Later that evening, the humans invited them to the cafeteria for a welcome dinner. This caused great worry among the students. "Do we have to watch them eat?" asked Sue, a plant-based student who made food through light absorption. "I've heard they put dead things in their mouths and use internal acids to dissolve them." "It's their natural way," Professor Day explained. "Just like some of you absorb radiation or consume gases, we must be respectful." At the cafeteria, separate food stations had been prepared for each species' needs. The aliens sat at their tables trying not to stare as humans bit, chewed, and swallowed solid food. "They're so loud," whispered Yoon, whose hearing sensors picked up every crunch and slurp. A human student accidentally dropped a glass, which shattered on the floor. The sharp noise made several alien students release defense chemicals into the air. Warning alarms sounded and emergency fans turned on to clear the air. "I'm so sorry," the human called out, looking embarrassed. After the excitement died down, Professor Day gathered his students for a meeting in their common room. "Today was just day 1, he told them. "You will see many strange things during your time here. Humans are different from us in many ways. They are strong because they evolved on this heavy world. They eat solid food, sleep for hours each day, and enjoy activities that seem dangerous. But they are also kind, curious, and eager to learn about us." Jin, a small 6-legged student, raised a limb. "Professor, I saw 2 humans press their faces together near the garden. Were they fighting?" "No," said Professor Day, his color changing to a deep purple of embarrassment. "That's called kissing. It's a form of affection. We'll cover human mating rituals in week 3. For now, get some rest." That night, Professor Day wrote in his journal, "First contact completed. Students are alarmed by human behaviors but curious. Humans are louder and move faster than expected. Tomorrow we observe a physical education class, which may prove challenging for our students. I worry what they will think when they see humans running." The morning sun shone through the large windows of the gymnasium as Professor Day led his alien students inside. They moved slowly, staying close together in a tight group. The gym smelled of rubber and sweat, strange scents that made several aliens pull back. "Today we will observe a human physical education class," Professor Day explained. "Remember to stay in the observation area. Human physical activities can be intense." The alien students settled onto benches along the wall. Tay handed out small devices. "These are emergency shields in case a human or object comes too close," she said. A sharp whistle made the aliens jump. A human female in a red outfit walked into the gym, followed by 20 human students in matching clothes. "That's Teacher Yuna," Professor Day whispered. "She will lead the humans in various physical exercises." Yuna smiled and waved at the aliens. "Welcome to PE class. Today we're playing basketball. Feel free to ask questions." The human students broke into two teams and began to stretch. The aliens watched in horror as humans bent their bodies in ways that seemed impossible. "Are they breaking their bones?" gasped Jin, covering 4 of his 6 eyes. "No, humans have flexible joints," Tay explained, "though it does look painful." Yuna blew her whistle again and tossed a round orange ball into the air. The humans sprang into action, running at high speeds across the wooden floor. They jumped, pushed, and shouted. The sound echoed in the large room, making several alien students cover their hearing organs. "Look how high they jump," said Yu, the most curious of the alien students. "It must be at least 1 meter against Earth's gravity." "Their muscles are dense and powerful," Professor Day said, recording the action with his data device. "A result of evolving on a high-gravity planet." The game grew more intense. The humans moved faster, their faces turning red with effort. Sweat poured from their skin, making them glisten under the lights. "They're leaking!" cried Sue in alarm. "It's called sweating," explained Professor Day. "Humans release water through their skin to cool down. It's normal for them." A tall human player jumped to throw the ball but collided with another player. Both fell hard to the floor. The aliens gasped as one human's knee hit the ground with a loud smack. Red blood appeared on the skin. 3 alien students fainted at the sight. Others made high-pitched noises of distress. "Everyone stay calm," called Professor Day, though his own tentacles had turned pale with shock. The injured human stood up, laughing. "Just a scrape," he said, wiping the blood away with his hand. "Their circulatory fluid is exposed, and they find it amusing," Sung said, his gas cloud body swirling with anxiety. Yuna came over with a small white box. She quickly cleaned the wound and put a bandage on it. The human player returned to the game as if nothing had happened. "Their pain tolerance is remarkable," Professor Day noted. "And their healing abilities are advanced." After the basketball game ended, Yuna asked if the aliens wanted to see the weight room. Professor Day agreed, though half his students chose to wait outside. The weight room contained metal objects of various sizes and machines with pulleys and cables. Humans were lifting heavy weights, their faces showing strain. In this room, humans deliberately tear their muscle fibers, Yuna explained cheerfully. The muscles then heal stronger than before. Mina, a gelatinous student, vibrated with fear. They damage themselves on purpose? No pain, no gain, said a human lifting a large metal bar. Outside the gym, Professor Day gathered his shaken students. Many were still changing colors or emitting distress chemicals. I want to return to the ship, said Kang. Humans are too dangerous. They're not dangerous to us, Professor Day assured them. They're just different. Their bodies evolved to be strong and resilient. That afternoon, the alien students formed a support group in their common room. They sat in a circle, sharing their fears. I couldn't sleep thinking about how humans become unconscious for hours each night, said Yoon. What if I fall asleep and Turn into a human? That won't happen, Tay assured her. Their biology is different, not contagious. Professor Day entered with data files. I've been researching human physical abilities, he said. They can adapt to almost any environment on their planet. They swim in water, climb mountains, and run long distances. Some even jump from high places for fun. For fun? Repeated Bay, rolling back and forth nervously. Yes, they call them extreme sports. We won't be observing those activities. As the meeting ended, Yu stayed behind. Unlike the others, her eyes showed interest, not fear. Professor, I find humans fascinating, she said. Their strength and adaptability are remarkable. Perhaps we can learn from them. Professor Day nodded slowly. Perhaps, but tomorrow we visit the chemistry lab, which brings new challenges. Humans handle substances that would dissolve some of our classmates. That night, 5 students requested transfers back to the Galactic Academy. Professor Day denied the requests, reminding them of the importance of their mission, but as he prepared for sleep, he wondered if bringing students to Earth had been a mistake. Dr. Emily Rodriguez stood motionless in the corner of the chemistry laboratory, her eyes wide with horror. The explosion had happened so quickly that even experienced researchers like herself couldn't have predicted it. Smoke billowed from the shattered glass containers, and a thick, acrid smell filled the entire room. Jake Miller, her young research assistant, was already reaching for the emergency shower, his hands shaking slightly. The experimental compound they had been testing, a new type of molecular catalyst, had unexpectedly destabilized when mixed with the rare metallic solution they were studying. The laboratory, which moments ago had been a pristine environment of scientific precision, now looked like a war zone. Broken equipment was scattered everywhere and small electrical sparks danced across overturned tables. A glass beaker rolled slowly across the floor, its remnants creating a tinkling sound that seemed eerily out of place with the destruction around them. Emily quickly assessed the situation. No one was seriously injured, but the research they had been conducting for months was essentially destroyed. Years of careful preparation, countless nights of analysis, and significant funding had just gone up in smoke. Literally. Jake looked at her, his face a mixture of shock and disappointment. We've lost everything, he whispered, surveying the damage. The specialized equipment they had imported from Germany was now nothing more than twisted metal and broken circuits. The catalyst they were developing was supposed to be revolutionary. It could potentially transform how industrial chemical processes worked, reducing environmental waste and increasing efficiency. Now, it seemed like nothing more than a failed experiment. As campus security and emergency response teams arrived, Emily began documenting the incident. She knew that every detail would need to be reported, every piece of evidence carefully preserved. Scientific disasters like these were rare, but when they happened, they were meticulously examined. The university's dean, Dr. Harold Thompson, arrived within an hour. His stern face moved across the laboratory, taking in every detail of the destruction. Emily knew he would be asking tough questions about safety protocols, about the risks they had taken, about the substantial grant money that had just essentially been incinerated. What nobody knew at that moment was that buried within the wreckage was something extraordinary. A small vial, somehow miraculously intact, contained a residue that would change everything they understood about chemical reactions. Jake noticed it first. A strange, iridescent shimmer coming from beneath a fallen cabinet. When he carefully extracted the vial, Emily realized something remarkable had survived the explosion. The compound inside seemed to be glowing with an unusual, almost living energy. The next few weeks would be a blur of investigations, reports, and careful analysis. But in that moment, standing amidst the destruction, Emily felt a spark of excitement. Scientific breakthroughs often came from unexpected places, and this disaster might just be the beginning of something incredible. Emergency teams in hazmat suits began systematically clearing the area. Samples were collected, equipment was tagged and documented, and the entire laboratory was sealed off. Jake and Emily were asked multiple questions, their statements carefully recorded. As the day progressed, rumors began spreading across the campus. What exactly had happened in the chemistry lab? Why had such an advanced research team experienced such a catastrophic failure? Speculation ran wild among students and faculty alike. Emily knew that setbacks were part of scientific research. Every great discovery was preceded by multiple failures, by moments of complete disappointment. This explosion, as devastating as it seemed now, might be just another step in their research journey. The small vial with its mysterious, glowing substance would become the center of their next investigation. Something about its composition was different. Something that suggested they might have accidentally created something far more significant than their original research had intended. As evening fell and the laboratory remained cordoned off, Emily and Jake sat in a nearby coffee shop, processing the day's events. Their clothes still smelled of smoke. Their hands still trembled slightly from the adrenaline. But beneath the shock, there was a shared sense of scientific curiosity. What had just happened? And more importantly, what would happen next? Dr. Marcus Weber stared at the computer screen, his fingers trembling slightly as he scrolled through the research data. The genetic analysis results were unlike anything he had ever seen before. Humans, it seemed, were far more complex than anyone had ever imagined. The small research facility nestled in the mountains of Colorado had been working on a secret project for years. Their goal was simple yet profound: to understand the true nature of human potential. What made humans different from other species? What hidden capabilities lay dormant within their genetic code? Sarah Chen, the lead geneticist, walked into the room with a cup of coffee. Her eyes were tired but excited. "You won't believe what we've discovered," she said, leaning over Marcus's shoulder. The data showed something extraordinary. Buried deep within human DNA were genetic markers that suggested incredible adaptive capabilities. Some sequences seemed to indicate that humans could potentially activate dormant abilities under extreme circumstances, abilities that defied current scientific understanding. Marcus had dedicated his entire career to understanding human potential. He had studied indigenous populations, examined extreme survival cases, and collected genetic samples from people who had experienced miraculous recoveries or demonstrated unexplained abilities. The small research team had collected DNA samples from around the world. They studied people who had survived impossible conditions, mountain climbers who survived weeks in freezing temperatures, individuals who recovered from diseases that should have been fatal, people who demonstrated extraordinary mental capabilities. What they found challenged everything science believed about human limitations. The genetic markers suggested that humans had a hidden evolutionary mechanism. Under extreme stress or specific environmental conditions, certain genetic sequences could activate. These sequences could potentially enhance physical strength, healing abilities, and cognitive functions. "It's like we have a backup system," Sarah explained, pointing at a complex genetic sequence. "Our bodies might have capabilities we've never understood before." The research was top secret. Government agencies and private research institutions would pay millions to understand these findings. But Marcus and his team were committed to pure scientific discovery, not commercial exploitation. Their research suggested that humans were not just passive beings, but potentially adaptive organisms with incredible hidden potential. The genetic code was like a complex computer program with multiple pathways that could be activated under specific circumstances. A knock on the door interrupted their discussion. It was Dr. David Rodriguez, their biochemistry expert. He carried a set of new test results that would further complicate their understanding. "The genetic variations we're seeing," David said, "suggest that human potential is far more flexible than we ever imagined. It's like we have multiple genetic backup plans." The team worked late into the night, analyzing data, comparing genetic sequences, and discussing the implications of their discoveries. They knew their research could revolutionize multiple fields, from medicine to understanding human evolution. But they also understood the responsibility that came with such knowledge. These discoveries could be misused if they fell into the wrong hands. They would need to be careful about how and when they published their findings. Marcus looked out the window at the mountain landscape. The research facility was deliberately located in an isolated area, away from potential interference. Here they could work without external pressures or commercial interests influencing their research. Sarah began preparing a preliminary report. The language had to be precise, the scientific explanation clear, but not sensationalist. They didn't want to create panic or unrealistic expectations about human capabilities. As midnight approached, the team continued their work. Each genetic sequence, each data point, was a piece of a complex puzzle. They were uncovering the true nature of human potential, layer by layer. The truth about humans was far more fascinating than anyone had ever imagined. They were not fixed beings, but dynamic, adaptable organisms with incredible hidden capabilities. And this was just the beginning of understanding those capabilities. Marcus looked at his team, a group of dedicated scientists who had given years of their lives to this research. They were on the verge of a discovery that could change how humans understood themselves forever. The mountain winds howled outside, as if nature itself was whispering the secrets of human potential. Alex Thompson always believed humans were more interesting than they appeared. Working as a behavioral researcher, he had spent years studying people's hidden patterns and unexpected behaviors. The small research center in Boston had been tracking unusual human responses for decades. Something strange was happening with human behavior, and nobody knew exactly why. One morning, during a routine data analysis, Alex discovered something unexpected. The computer screens showed strange patterns in human brain activity that didn't match any previous scientific understanding. Dr. Rachel Morgan, his research partner, looked over his shoulder. "What are those signals?" she asked, her voice filled with curiosity. The brain scans showed mysterious electrical impulses that seemed to communicate in complex, unexplained ways. Their research suggested humans had incredible hidden capabilities. Some people could predict events before they happened. Others showed unusual healing abilities that medical science couldn't explain. Some individuals demonstrated extraordinary memory skills that seemed almost impossible. The team had collected thousands of case studies, a woman who could understand multiple languages without studying them, a man who could heal wounds incredibly fast, children who seemed to know things they couldn't possibly have learned. "We're just scratching the surface," Alex said, pointing at the complex data. The brain signals suggested humans had connections beyond normal scientific understanding. It was like humans had a secret communication network that nobody had discovered yet. Their research center was funded by a mysterious private organization. They were given complete freedom to explore these unusual human capabilities, with one condition: absolute secrecy. Rachel began organizing the data. Each case study was carefully documented, with precise medical records and scientific observations. They weren't interested in creating sensational stories. They wanted solid scientific evidence. The team worked day and night, analyzing brain scans, interviewing extraordinary individuals, and collecting genetic samples. Something fundamental was happening with human evolution, and they were determined to understand it. Their most interesting discovery involved human emotional connections. Some people seemed to share feelings and thoughts without physical communication. It was like they had an invisible network connecting their minds. A young researcher named Michael discovered that certain individuals could sense danger before it happened. Their brain signals would change minutes or even hours before an actual event occurred. This wasn't luck. This was something more profound. The research center had strict security. No information could leak outside. The potential implications of their discoveries were too significant to be misunderstood by the general public. Alex remembered an old case study of twins who could communicate without speaking. They would complete each other's sentences, know each other's thoughts, and feel each other's pain, even when separated by thousands of miles. "We're looking at the next stage of human development," Rachel said one evening. Her eyes sparkled with excitement. They weren't just researchers. They were witnesses to something extraordinary. The team collected evidence from around the world. A farmer in India who could predict weather changes. A teenager in Brazil who could heal plants with a simple touch. A scientist in Japan who could calculate complex mathematical problems in seconds. Something was changing in human capabilities. Evolution wasn't just a slow, gradual process. It was happening faster and more dramatically than anyone had imagined. As weeks turned into months, their research grew more complex. They weren't just studying individual cases anymore. They were mapping a new understanding of human potential. The truth about humans was simple yet profound. People were far more capable than they believed. Hidden within their brains and genetic structures were incredible abilities waiting to be discovered. Alex looked at the research files, knowing they were on the edge of a breakthrough. Humans were not limited beings. They were complex, adaptable, and filled with unexplored potential. The research would change everything: how people understood themselves, their capabilities, and their place in the world. And they were just beginning to uncover these incredible secrets. Outside the research center, the world continued its normal routine. But inside, a small team of dedicated scientists was rewriting the understanding of human potential, one extraordinary discovery at a time. Mia woke up early on the day of her high school graduation. She felt excited, but also a little nervous. High school had not always been easy for her. There were times she struggled with her classes and didn't have many friends. But she had worked hard, and today was the day to celebrate her accomplishments. She got dressed in her blue graduation gown and cap. Her parents and grandparents were all there to see her walk across the stage. As she arrived at the school, she met up with her two best friends, Anna and Sam, who were also graduating. They hugged and took pictures together in their caps and gowns. The graduation ceremony began, and one by one the students received their diplomas as their names were called. When it was Mia's turn, she took a deep breath and walked across the stage. She shook hands with the principal and took her diploma. She could hear her family cheering for her in the audience, and it made her smile. After the ceremony ended, her whole family went out to lunch together to celebrate. Mia felt a huge sense of relief and accomplishment. She had made it through high school, and now an exciting new chapter of her life was beginning. College would start in a couple months, and she couldn't wait. She knew there would be new challenges ahead. But today she just wanted to enjoy this special moment surrounded by her loved ones. Even though the future was uncertain, she felt ready for whatever lay ahead. Graduating high school was an important milestone, and Mia was proud of herself. She had grown and learned so much over the past 4 years. And now she was ready to take on the world as a strong, confident young woman. Her high school graduation day was one she knew she would always remember and cherish. The assistant's writing style should be simple and easy to understand, using mostly short sentences and basic English vocabulary suitable for younger readers, or English language learners. The story should be written in an interesting and engaging way that makes the reader want to keep reading to find out what happens. The assistant should write in the third-person point of view. The day of Amy's graduation had finally arrived. She woke up feeling excited and a little bit nervous. She had worked very hard in school and couldn't believe this important day was here. Amy put on her blue graduation gown and cap. Her parents were so proud of her. They took many pictures of Amy in her graduation outfit. At the school, Amy met her best friends Lucy and Tom. They were also graduating. The three friends were very happy to celebrate this special day together. The graduation ceremony began. Each student's name was called to come up on stage. One by one, they received their diplomas. When Amy's name was called, she took a deep breath. She walked across the stage and shook hands with the principal. He handed Amy her diploma. Her parents clapped and cheered for her. Amy felt very proud. After the ceremony, there was a big party. Amy celebrated with her family and friends. They all told her how proud they were of her. Amy was sad to say goodbye to high school, but she was excited to start a new chapter in her life. Amy had been accepted into a good college. In a few months, she would be moving into her college dorm room. She knew college would be a new adventure. It might be hard sometimes, but Amy felt ready for the challenge. She had learned a lot in high school, both in her classes and about herself. Amy knew that graduation was an important moment. It marked the end of one part of her life and the beginning of something new. She would always remember this special day and how happy she felt. She had worked hard to get to this point. Now it was time to celebrate and look forward to the future. The graduation party went on all afternoon. Amy hugged her friends and teachers goodbye. She thanked her parents for their love and support. Amy knew she was very lucky. That night, Amy looked at her diploma and graduation pictures. She felt a sense of accomplishment and pride. High school had not always been easy, but she had made it through. Graduation day had been a wonderful celebration of all she had achieved so far. Amy smiled, excited to see what new adventures life would bring next.